Asia was the true birthplace of science. And I'm about to share some mind-blowing discoveries that prove it. Have you ever wondered if some of the groundbreaking discoveries in modern science were actually known thousands of years ago? Could it be that concepts like the atom, quantum physics, or even the age of the universe were hidden in ancient texts, only to resurface centuries later? Today, we're diving into this fascinating idea, exploring whether modern science, as we know it, might have roots in ancient Indian philosophy. Let's unpack these claims and see where the truth really lies. Now, before we jump into atomic theory and quantum physics, let's take a moment to appreciate the value of asking these questions. A lot of people claim that ancient civilizations knew things that we now call new discoveries. But as someone who values science, it's important not to take such claims at face value. We need to dig deeper, cross-check facts, and approach everything with a critical, scientific mindset. So, let's start with atomic theory. Many of us have heard that the concept of the atom, the smallest indivisible part of matter, was first mentioned in ancient Indian texts. This idea often traces back to the philosopher Kaneda, who lived around the 6th century BCE. He described anew atoms as the building blocks of the universe in his texts. But how does this compare to modern atomic theory? Interestingly, while Kaneda's idea of atoms shares some similarities with what we know today, such as the idea of indivisibility, it was more philosophical than scientific. It lacked the rigorous experimentation and mathematical proof that we see in modern science. Fast forward to the 19th century, when scientists like John Dalton proposed atomic theory based on empirical data, leading to the development of chemistry and physics as we know them today. So, can we say modern atomic theory was derived from ancient Indian thought? Not exactly. Ancient Indian philosophers were certainly pondering the nature of reality. But modern science builds on a framework of experimental evidence and mathematical precision that wasn't available back then. Still, it's fascinating to see these philosophical parallels. Now let's move on to quantum physics, a field that seems even more mysterious. And this is where things get really interesting. Erwin Schrödinger, one of the founders of quantum mechanics, once said that his ideas about wave mechanics had connections with Vedanta philosophy. Vedanta teaches the idea of unity in diversity, that everything in the universe is interconnected. This seems to echo the principles in quantum physics, where particles can exist in multiple states and places at once, connected through unseen forces. But does this mean that quantum physics is simply a rehash of ancient Indian philosophy? Not quite. While Schrödinger might have drawn inspiration from Vedanta, quantum physics was developed using mathematics, experiments, and theories that didn't exist in ancient times. Yet, it's still incredible to think that some of the most abstract ideas in science today resonate with philosophical thoughts from thousands of years ago. Speaking of time, let's shift to another mind-bending concept, time dilation. In modern science, time dilation refers to the idea that time can pass at different rates depending on your speed or gravitational field, as described by Einstein's theory of relativity. But here's the twist. Ancient Vedic texts also seem to describe time as relative, not absolute. While Newtonian physics saw time as something fixed, the Vedic concept suggests that time can stretch and compress, depending on various cosmic factors. Now, the big question: did ancient scholars somehow know about the complex workings of time dilation? Again, the answer lies in the difference between philosophy and science. Vedic texts provide a mystical, religious perspective on time, but Einstein's theory is rooted in precise, testable mathematics. The overlap is fascinating, but one doesn't directly derive from the other. Finally, let's talk about the age of the universe. Ancient Indian texts suggest that the universe's age can be calculated based on a day of Brahma, which lasts 4.32 billion years. Interestingly, modern cosmology estimates the universe to be around 13.8 billion years old, a number that aligns closely when you consider the vast time scales described in these ancient texts. But here again, modern science arrives at its conclusions through observations of cosmic microwave background radiation, stellar life cycles, and other data-driven methods. Ancient Indian texts, on the other hand, come from a spiritual and philosophical worldview. So, what's the takeaway from all this? It's tempting to think that modern science was somehow predicted by ancient philosophies. But in reality, ancient texts and modern science approach knowledge in very different ways. Philosophical ideas are often metaphorical and poetic, while science relies on experimentation, mathematics, and evidence. That said, the similarities between these ancient ideas and modern scientific concepts are not only fascinating, but also a testament to the human mind's ability to wonder and explore the nature of reality across time, space, and culture. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.